to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message, hit the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia. Cogswell patch 8.6 is coming toward you, and by the time you listen to this show, you should have already started downloading it. Normally I'd say it's hit the Rift, but it has been delayed for the first time this year, and probably actually a little while, really, but that aside, we're here to try to break down patch 8.6 for you so you have something to go about when you go on the Rift. But before we do that, I'm going to introduce everybody that's with me this episode. Dom, Punch, and Vrail are joining me tonight.
What up, guys?
How goes it?
I was saying guys to you specifically. I know we have a broader audience than just men. So what's up, everybody?
What up, dogs?
Everyone. Yeah, dogs is it encompasses everyone.
That's right. I kind of figured at this point, Dom made a good point on the last episode that we have a wider range of hosts. And for a while there, I wasn't introducing people, but I kind of figured I should at least say who's on the podcast. People are kind of going, trying to figure out voices, or suddenly Dom speaks up after 20 minutes. He goes, "Oh, Dom was here the entire time."
Yeah, I agree. You should do that.
I am going to do that. So there you go.
I didn't like that you stopped doing that.
Really?
Makes us all feel special.
I don't know that you ever stopped that much.
You stopped, and I noticed.
I'm sorry, Dad.
I just sat here waiting patiently for my name to be called, then it would never be called, and I just...
Punch.
Dead.
Punch. I'm calling your name.
Yes.
Punch. Where's the gong?
Yes.
Where is the gong? The gong's gone. Do you see behind you? There's no gong.
It's right here. It's under the desk, all right? The gong is not gone. It's always here. But for a long time now, it's been repurposed as a trash can lid. Because the dog loves to get into the garbage. And this garbage can has no lid, so the gong is serving a different function right now.
I hear Target has those for like $3.
I have so many follow-up questions that
could do that.
We shouldn't waste our time going through today. But
I never knew he had a gong. I'm just
so many follow-up.
He also chewed up the gong mallet, so I have no mallet now. Remember, I had punched the gong the last time I used it. It's not the same sound.
Fucker. Yeah.
I got to find a mallet replacement.
All right, I know what I'm doing. Right. All right, listen, I'm going to talk about booted boxers right now while I go to Amazon and find a gong mallet replacement. Seriously.
yeah, $15. $15. I found them already.
You know what? You know what the podcast is going to do? The podcast is going to send you a gong mallet replacement because the podcast needs this gong mallet.
What a glorious day.
Gong mallet.
Well, they're $35 if you want the name brand, the Zildjian gong mallet.
I don't think it matters.
Oh, that's a great brand for gong mallets.
So look at that. It's $13 for one right there. You can see it. Like right there it is.
Get it, and you get it tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Free one-day shipping if you're a Prime
gracious.
member. So
oh my God.
And
okay.
can you order him a trash can lid while you're at it?
I don't even use this trash can anymore, to be honest.
There, we just figured out.
I can get rid of it.
Next week we expect a gong. But I'm going to talk about Buddha Boxers real quick. BuddhaBoxers.com/T-Force. You guys can go out there, get yourself some very high quality boxers. The Buddha Boxers are made out of bamboo. They're bamboo weave. They wick the sweat away. They keep you comfortable. They keep you happy. They keep you healthy as you're playing the games. I've got a whole drawer full of them at this point. I use them just about every single day, and I love wearing them while playing them. They don't ride up. You don't have to continually pull them down, and that's to me, that is the biggest thing ever. Because listen, I wear boxer briefs. I can't stand it, and I have to pull my fucking boxer briefs down all day because they're riding all the way.
Oh, it's
they're
terrible.
My legs.
You get really uncomfortable. And then you just got to get into a position where you can, adjust things down there. But you don't always have the freedom to do that.
What's the shame? Just adjust.
I don't have any of these boxers yet. I'm going to have to buy
some. Who are you
some.
trying to impress?
I think we'll be able to.
I mean, sometimes if you're in the car, it can be tricky. You got the coat on and the seatbelt.
Right.
And, I'm supposed to be driving while adjusting things. It can be tricky. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
man.
So the Buddha Boxers are actually going to come back here soon. They're launching. They have a Kickstarter launch. They're going to come back for us because I think, if I remember correctly, they're changing company names because they merged another company and they're doing a Kickstarter for a bunch of new stuff. So they're going to have new products coming out here shortly. That's just kind of the gist I got out of the email I got last night. But for now, you can still get the really good boxers, and they're still going to have them. Use code TrinityForce for 20% off. Of course, you can always go to patreon.com/TForce Network, get the meta report and everything else. So let's just jump in. Patch 8.6. We talked enough about everything. We've got a lot to talk about here. Do we want to jump into the Duskblade changes to start off, and then talk about all the champions? How do we want to do this? What do you think? What do you think is the best way?
All the Duskblade changes are gonna help characters I hate or hurt characters I hate. I don't know for sure yet, but
we could do
I think we do the Duskblade stuff just because after that, like it's like there are a handful of other champions, but it's mostly items after that too. So
yeah, this seems to be the one of the bigger changes.
All right, so Duskblade is being changed in this patch. The Night Stalker damage from melee was 65 to 320 at levels 118, is now 30 to 200. Night Stalker damage for range was 45 to 300, is now 30 to 200, so they just made it the same. Melee basic attacks now instantly kill trap/wards that are disabled by Blackout, and Blackout won't be triggered if the owner is currently using a Sweeping Lens or Oracle's Alteration.
that's nice.
that is so annoying when you have your Sweeping Lens up and then it's still. That's a really quality of life change right there.
Yeah, they've gutted the damage pretty heavily on Duskblade, but Riot feels there's a bunch of champions out there that are using Duskblade pretty heavily, so they went through and they started changing champions in accordance.
They buffed them all to compensate, which on the surface doesn't make a whole ton of sense, because if you want to nerf Duskblade,
yeah, if you're worried about all the champions that are using
that use it, then why are you now compensating the champions for the nerf to Duskblade? And the only thing that the only reason I could think of is they're trying to decouple the champions from the item so that they can give some power back, take away some power from the item, give it back to the champion. But you're still gonna have this same problem later on if you ever decide to buff Duskblade, because then you have to go back to this whole list of champions again and nerf them again.
And the weird part is that like a lot of the champions we're about to talk about end up having like slightly better to really better early games as a result of all this, because in a few cases they're hitting like base attack damage growth, for example, which means that, you know, yeah, you're not getting the power spike you got from Duskblade by completing it, but like you're getting benefits from just not having any items anymore, where you wouldn't have had an item benefit to begin with.
There's a couple of those cases. For the most part, I think they did a pretty good job though of making it so that these buffs don't kick in until they would have had Duskblade anyways.
So I don't know. I feel like this has kind of been a theme all year, where Riot's been kind of trying to do 2 patches worth of changes in one patch, where like they could change Duskblade this time around and then wait and see how it plays out, which is kind of what y'all were getting at. Like I don't know why they don't just wait a patch, see who actually got hurt by this, and then make changes. And I feel like they've been doing stuff like this all year.
Which is so weird, because for a long time in the past they would like nerf champions, realize it was the item that was the problem, then nerf the item, and then maybe get around to buffing some of the champions back, or just like leave the champions in a bad state and then do like a big sweeping pass during the off season or something. And so it's really weird that they're nerfing the item, and that's good, but then they're all of a sudden buffing all the champions to compensate.
Yeah, this is kind of like that. This is that weird point where League could use like a patch every week, or like a weird like phase where they do a patch, you know, I know they're doing a patch every 2 weeks, but they're like always doing the patches ahead of time. So kind of having like more hot fixing, I guess, is what I'm asking for, right? Where you nerf Duskblade and you go, well, fuck, all these champions are getting hurt. Well, maybe we just hot fix a bunch of the champions' AD ratios or something to try to make up for it. I know it's a kind of a big thing to do, but you kind of get where I'm going here. Where we're at the point where the balance needs to be better and more. There needs to be more fine tuning rather than cut a piece off the top and see what the fuck happens.
What I would like them to do is say, we're changing Duskblade. We know it will affect these champions. We're going to see how it plays out, and then we'll react accordingly. But because I mean, like 2 weeks is not that long to wait. if it really hurts your
It's going to
champion.
be more than 2 weeks. That's the problem, because Riot's always working on the next patch once their last patch is ready to ship. So they're always
then
a
just
patch
have-
behind, right? So it's going to be a month before those champions get
Not really, because you can just
Except-
have these changes listed. Like, well, if they suck, we already have these ideas on how we're going to fix them.
And
we're
they've
going to put them in,
also-
implement them once we know actually how it affects the champions.
And they've also said it's a lot easier for them to hotfix stuff without breaking it anymore. So if like the numbers on Graves for, just use him because he is next in line anyway. If the numbers on Graves are too low, they could really just quick hotfix him to get him, closer to what was in line.
And of course, we don't know what's going on in the back end. I know we're just spewing stuff that we'd like to see, but I guess we have to live with what is in the patch notes. So Graves, speaking to Graves, his base stats, his attack damage growth has been increased to 3 from 2.41. Magic resist growth has been increased to 1 from 0.5. Smoke screen, the wind up is down to 0.15 seconds from 0.25, and vision reduction now applies more quickly. And
I really like the changes to smoke screen, actually. That'll make it. I mean, if you make that ability more responsive, you're giving Graves some of his smooth playstyle back, which I feel like they took away from when they reworked him.
So the windup is basically the cast time, right?
there's like a
when
small cast time.
When it does that shooting animation. Yeah.
Shorter cast times are always nice.
Vision reduction is going to be annoying. He's not here,
Yes.
but Todd would hate this set of changes. So
I have to imagine these changes do bump him up quite a bit. I mean, he's at 48.8 globally plat plus. So, teetering at 49-50%, and giving him a higher attack damage growth and a magic resist growth stat along with that smoke screen. That I have to imagine that helps quite a bit with the
making his early game better, which is exactly what this is doing. Like that's going to be huge for Graves because he lives and dies by how well he does early on.
Right.
He probably needed the love. And
He's listed under the champions who they're changing because of Duskblade, but I feel like he didn't necessarily always have to go Duskblade, so that's the change of that item's not going to hurt him as much.
I don't think he really ever did go Duskblade, to be honest with you.
Well, he's listed with the champions, so I'm assuming it happens sometimes.
I mean,
We have the technology. I could check the stats.
I am looking at the builds. Duskblade was first item after Warrior on him, generally speaking. So he was building it. He was building it enough that people were, or that Riot seemed that he needed. Yeah, pick 35% of the time he was building Duskblade at some point.
Well, when I play him in norms, I build Duskblade, but that's just because I was going like full lethality, wanting to one-shot people, not because I thought it was the best build, but I guess it's popular.
Seems like you were on the
35% 's a
right
lot.
track. Full lethality wanted to one-shot people. That's what everybody wanted to do, turns out.
Yeah,
Right.
but I feel like that's not the best build. Black Cleaver crit seems better to me, at least overall.
At least they used to
See?
be, right? Kane getting some love as well. Again, Kane teetering around 49% global win rate. His Blaze Reach W, 1.3 bonus attack damage from 1.2. Umbral Trespass, his R, now goes up to 1.75 bonus attack damage instead of 1.5.
so a little bit higher ratio since the Duskblade proc's doing less damage.
Yeah, nothing really to write home about. Now here's something to write home about, though. Kha'Zix's getting a change. The overall note here is that Riot wants to give people the opportunity to bring Kha'Zix in other lanes outside the jungle. So they're making some changes to try to bump him that way, I guess. We'll start backwards and work forward on him, because W Void Spike, it no longer deals bonus damage to monsters. But to compensate for that and the Duskblade nerf, the Q Taste the Fear base damage has been decreased 65 to 165, now 50 to 150. Ratio was 1.2, it is now 1.3. Isolated bonus is now 100% additional damage, and the isolated damage has been kind of normalized, I guess. It's been buffed, nerfed early, buffed mid-late. It was 107.25 to 272.25. It is now 100 to 300 with a 2.6 bonus attack damage ratio. Looking at the stat, I went to Kha'Zix mains and looked this up. He's worse now, like levels 1 to 5, and then he gets better, insanely better in the mid game from 7 to 11, and then he's, I don't know, 25-30% better come the late game.
What was that? So you're looking at the damage done after these Q changes. Somebody did the math on that. Was that isolated Q damage?
Yes.
That you were looking at?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was all isolated
Yeah.
damage.
Yeah, I think we all can agree here that there's a big buff, 35% additional buff to the isolation bonus That with the increased attack or the increased bonus damage later and the increased ratio, he's definitely doing more damage isolated. The base Q, Todd and I are having a discussion about, and it's 15 damage down across all levels, but he has the increased ratio. So with that increased ratio, it's probably doing the same base damage as before, but if you're buying Duskblade, again, you're getting less damage off that proc. So base
and he was
Q
one of the
might do
biggest
less
abusers
damage
of it.
So here's a really good. Here's a good thing. 8.5 and 8.6 Kazakh. 8.5 Kazakh level 1, no items. Auto Q non-isolation was 90. New one is 83. Level 1 auto isolation is 117. Now it is 119. So he's doing a little more damage with the isolated, less if it's not isolated. A level 6 with a Warhammer. His his isolated damage is 244. Used to be 233. Non-isolated damage is now 166. Was 176. So essentially, you're just gaining a ton more damage as the game goes on. Well, not a ton. You're getting, it looks like 10 up to 100 at level 18 extra damage, essentially across all isolation.
Yeah. So he can be a mid-lane assassin again, maybe? That's what they're going for.
It's funny. They have made fun of themselves for this in the past, but it's funny that the champion whose whole theme is evolution just continues to evolve into different stuff in the games. And this time they're intentionally pushing him that way. But there've been plenty of times in the past where like they made changes and then Kazakhs just like ended up rolling with it, and you know, W was really good. Like was the way to go for a really long time or something like that. I'm not a Kazakhs player. I'm just picking. So like he has been all over the place for the time he's been around this game.
So it says it doesn't do bonus damage to monsters. Is it doing bonus damage to minions, or was it just monsters when they're trying to put them into the jungle?
Right. It was only it only does bonus damage to monsters.
I feel like if he was going to be in lane, he would need to have that would do bonus damage to minions.
Well, he was previously evolving W in lane for the late wave clear, because I think at one point it was doing bonus damage to minions, a long time ago. But
I don't know if it was or not, but I do remember, like you said, that you used to evolve W first for that.
Yeah, and for poke, especially if you're mid lane. So many range champions, you're going to need the poke. I don't think he will be good mid lane because of these changes, but
no, not necessarily. I was looking it up.
Top lane now.
Top lane, sure, why not? Could be, maybe.
Anyway, so that's Kazakhs. Basically, really, if you want to look at it in a different way, is they are rewarding you more for isolating a target and being good at Kazakhs, rather than just jump into the middle of the fight, Q somebody, and hope you kill him. And that's the direction they're pushing it with these Q changes. Misfortune base stats attack damage growth was 1. It is now 2.
wow.
Whoa.
I don't know how that interacts with her passive, why it's so low, but that doesn't seem like very much at all.
Nah, not too much. I mean,
well,
she's already
doubling her AD.
But it's like plus 18 instead.
Yeah.
So plus 18 at level 18.
Duskblade was her best build, but I don't know, what was it, her only build?
I feel like plus 18 is
not
not compensating for. You probably go Unit Black Cleaver now.
Maybe.
Because you're not
I
getting
haven't
the
seen
slow.
an attack speed misfortune forever.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
You just build full pen
was,
in all people.
Yeah, that's what it was. The build was full pen.
Theoretically.
Hey, Vrail.
No, let's not talk about
Hey, Vrail. Why do you talk about playing Misfortune into Kaisa?
Was
that a fun time?
No, it was the Pantheon support that was the bigger problem.
that was brutal.
So
let's just move on.
All right,
let's just move on.
For the
You knew it was coming.
For the third patch in a row, Nocturne is getting a buff. Base damage 150 to 350 and is now 150 to 400 for his R paranoia, excuse me. And the ratio has been increased to 1.5 bonus attack damage. So if Nocturne wasn't already doing great, which he was moving that way and trending that way, I know we saw him in the LCS a couple times over the weekend, he just got significantly better.
They really, really want Nocturne to just be around all of a sudden.
I don't. I'd rather
and it
not.
sucks because I hate it when that guy is really good because he just, he presses R and then he jumps on you and it's like,
yeah, it's like Rengar basically.
It's not like Pantheon, who it's very clearly telegraphed where he is going to, Nocturne presses R, and it's like, okay, well, it's just a waiting game. It's kind of like Rengar and everything, except that, it's basically Rengar. Just coming at you faster.
51% global win rate right now on Nocturne. So now we're pushing 52, I'm sure, with an art change. This is an 1% change.
I don't get it.
Is
that jungle or top turn?
Jungle. That's jungle. That is jungle.
They just buffed him. Wait a patch, and I don't get it. Why they're so quick to continue buffing people. It seems. Just wait another patch and see if he's actually. If he's at 51%, is 51% good for Nocturne? I feel like it is.
That's phenomenal for Nocturne. Yeah.
Funny part is that global on 8.6, he's actually 49.5, but 8.6 has a lot of problems for the regions that do have it. So.
Oh yeah, I'm just looking over the last 7 days. I'm not looking at 8.6 yet.
Although I guess he probably built Duskblade also all the time, so that is warranted. Maybe, I don't know.
If it was something was warranted, wouldn't it be like a base damage increase like they're doing to everybody else?
That's what they did for his R, I guess.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. They were buffing everyone else's base damage or gross stats and shit.
You mean ratios?
Well, they just did that on the ranged champions, I think.
All right. Well, let's move on. That's Nocturne. Watch out for him on the Rift. Rengar getting a change on this patch. The Ferocity Lockout for Q and E is now 0.1 second from 0.25. Ferocity Lockout after using a powered spell only applies on the slot you just cast. Rengar can no longer leap after hex flashing out of a brush.
Oh.
And they added some VO lines for it. So that's his passive. His Q, Savagery. Total attack damage is now to 1.4. The ratio was 1.3. Adjusted the Q animation cast frame to make canceling the animation feel better. And they fixed a bunch of bugs. A ton of bugs. Which, if you were a Rengar main, I'm sure you love these. Bullet Strike. Ratio was 0.7 bonus attack damage, now up to 0.8. Empowered ratio, 0.7 now to 0.8. Fixed another bug, and then Thrill of the Hunt was 0.3 total attack damage, up to 0.5. I've been banning Rengar, even if his jungle win rate has been shitty right now, or not that great. I still don't want to fucking see him in any of my games, so I ban his ass.
I'll just play Tom Kench if Rengar gets picked at this point. What else can I do? I got to ban other champions. I can't.
I still haven't been seeing a lot of Rengar, so I actually can't speak on how good he was.
I'm actually going to see Swain. I got to ban that guy. So
yeah, Swain's not.
Or going to see Scion. There are other problem champions that people are highly likely to pick. Whereas Rengar, you can't just pick him and win because you picked Rengar.
Yeah, right.
You got to know what you're doing.
And, well, speaking of a champion that doesn't need a buff, Shaco. Shaco's next basic attack after Deceive now also deals 10 to 50 with 0.7 bonus attack damage and a 0.3 ability power ratio that does bonus physical damage. So he Qs and automatically gets a burst of extra damage.
He's probably going to surpass that missing Night Duskblade proc damage pretty quickly with that. With the 0.7 attack damage ratio.
Do you max Deceive first? Or do you max?
That's a good question.
Let's see what the internet says.
If you're maxing it first, because it's 100 damage missing at level 18, but I imagine 50, by the time you have it maxed, it would be comparable to what you would be getting from... especially with the plus 0.7.
Looks like Qmax is pretty common.
Okay, but still, plus 0.7, just that alone, I feel like would
be enough,
replace the damage.
Yeah, why?
I mean, the base is not very big. But... I don't
know. Talon getting a change in this patch. Talon's passive Blade's End damage was 75 to 175 at levels 1 to 11. Really? It only scaled up to 11? Is that not a change? Is that it's the damage between 1 and 11 has been unchanged. That's what it is. So everything after 11 has been changed. It is now 75 to 245 at levels 1 to 18. So they changed level 11 to level 12 to 18 damage on his passive.
No, they made it so it keeps scaling till
level 18. That's what I was saying. I was like confused.
Forever scaling.
Forever scaling.
Yeah, now continues to scale after level 11.
And then his Shadow Assault, his R ratio has been increased to 1.0 bonus attack damage.
Cool. More ratio buffs.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of ratio buffs.
Wukong, same thing. Attack damage, gross stat up to 4. Crushing Blow, now has a scaling total attack damage from 1.1 to 1.5, and Q was his max previously.
Yeah, you're spamming that.
This is wrong. This should not be happening.
What?
That's plus 0.4, and you're using that all game, all the time.
You're using that all game, all the time, and it's total attack damage. So, like, all the buffs you just got, or all the buffs that you're getting to your base stats here are now feeding into this Q that you're using all game, all the time.
Yeah.
I don't like that change. Although I might try playing
a little much.
now. That champion is fun.
No,
He is fun.
Play him top lane. Just
Play mid lane.
No, play midnight.
Play him in there. It doesn't fucking matter.
really probably should play him mid lane at this point. I think he could do decently well against specific mid lanes, at least the ones that are popular now. Like, I can't imagine, right? Like, because he gets the extra range on Q, he can't be caught by Ryze. Doesn't he just blow the fuck out of Ryze?
If you can get around his root, maybe. But
No,
Ryze is.
he's still.
I don't think
Q
you would
range
win
for
versus
Ryze.
Ryze.
He's still in root range for Ryze.
Oh no, you have to dodge it with his W. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're dodging.
Which
Yeah,
it's like
bait it
an
out.
instant cast, so he can just wait it out. Basically, I'm gonna say no. He does not beat Ryze. Ryze gets a million shields.
That's
so,
true. Good Ryze play.
I'm gonna say no.
I don't get.
Ryze will just push him in.
Zed Q, his Q change, it was 60% to targets beyond the first is pass-through damage. Now 50% to targets beyond the first. So the first time we've seen a nerf in this patch. Landing multiple shurikens on the same target no longer causes each beyond the first to deal only 75% damage.
So it's
I don't
not
like
a
that.
nerf if you land. It's a buff, I think, if you land
It is.
2. So they reward you for being better. I think that's fine.
Right. And his death mark, his R, stored damage was 25 to 45% damage dealt during death mark. It is now 25 to 55% damage dealt during death mark. So just what we need, his R to do more damage.
Sure.
And those are the champion changes that apparently used Duskblade and needed these gigantic compensations. Thanks, Riot.
Watch them all get nerfed over the next fucking 2 weeks.
Right. They will. Absolutely. Kaisa finally getting some love because she's been struggle bussing like crazy mad. And I know they're going through, like, they're changing a bunch of ratios and whatnot on her kit, but in reality, I think if they would have just given her a basic attack range increase like they're doing in this patch, she'd been fine. Like, she didn't need anything else. Base attack range up to 525 from 500. Which
Yeah, there you go.
needed. Seriously, I think if they just gave that to her, she'd be fine. But passive second skin, the ratio was 0.1 to 0.3 ability power. It is now 0.2 to 0.4 ability power and applying on the 1st to 5th plasma stack. Plasma detonation ratio was 2.5% per 100 ability power. Is now 3.75% targets missing health per 100 ability power.
That's a big buff.
That's huge.
But
That is a little scary because I mean, if you saw Kaisa get ahead, she could do a lot of damage. So I'm with you, Pone, where I would have liked to see a range increase first and then see where she's at. Because I mean, maybe it just seemed like she did too little damage because she was always behind.
Right. Well, I don't know that they needed to bump it by 1.25% on her passive because
That's what I'm saying. It seems like a lot.
Because Void Seeker's getting an ability power ratio nerf, right? So you're building ability power for what? Your passive. And you don't really have a good way to build that without you had to pick up 2 items, and it's kind of funky. Anyway, Icathian Rain, the range has been increased to 600 from 575. Ratio per missile up to 0.4, and AP ratio for 6 missiles up to 1.0 ability power.
So that's why, because that's doubling the AP ratio on Q.
Yeah.
So that's your reason to build AP still.
Void Seeker, the ability power ratio has been decreased. Void Seeker deals the same amount of damage due to second skin's buff above. Evolved Void Seeker deals more damage than before. That is the they're calling this not a nerf thanks to the second skin passive change. Supercharge cast time has been decreased. It was 1.5 to 0.75. Is now 1.2 to 0.6 based on your bonus attack speed. Minimum bonus movement speed was 40 to 60%, now 55 to 75%. Maximum bonus movement speed 80 to 120, 110 to 150 now. And our Killer Instinct, the radius around enemy champions is 525 or 500. Killer Instinct shield is now granted on cast, but it still lingers for 3 seconds after dash ends.
So the minimum bonus movement speed on Supercharge now, hopefully it will make that ability feel a lot better, because the first time you use that early game, it's hardly noticeable. I just felt like I was leaning forward a little bit as Kaisa, and like yeah, I'm supercharged now, right? Maybe no. It didn't feel great to use before you got attack speed. Really wanted to get attack speed, and that's when that ability finally took off.
I'm really.
Did you guys ever see
changes?
Oh yeah, did you guys ever see that that video for AP Kaisa on the PBE back when she was not live yet?
No, but
it was a full AP
control.
build. Yeah. Think Zoe's Q, just from a much farther range away, right? And no setup. So that's what it was.
Yep.
And if they somehow survived that, by the way, when you hit with W and it's evolved, it has I think it lowers the cooldown by 50%. So you could just rain those as much as you wanted. But if that didn't kill them, you could just R in and then hit them with Q, and then they're dead. So that'd be fun.
Well, what is it? Oh, it takes 5 stacks to get your passive, doesn't it? Not 4.
Yeah, but that's 2 Qs. I'm sorry, that's 2 Ws because it puts on 3 plasma instead of 2.
I was going to say just jumping to somebody adds a stack, doesn't it? And then auto attacking adds a stack and pops it.
I think you need to attack them. I don't think the jump itself does. I can double check.
No, they need to have a stack on them in order for you to be able to jump to them. We never did a Kaisa show, did we?
No, we haven't gone back. She just hasn't been decent enough to talk about yet because you just can't tell how good or bad or whatever she's going to be because she needed some love before any of that discussion ever happened. And she got it.
She's a confusing champion, so
yeah, that's Kaisa. I'm scared. I expect to see more Kaisa in bottom lane now with that 525 range.
I expect Punch to play more Kaisa.
Sure, I'll do that. Why not?
Play Kaisa, but I have Jin. And that's
yes, you do.
Lee Sin getting a change in this patch. Passive Flurry first attack energy return is now 20, 25, 30. It scales at levels 1, 7, 13. Second attack energy return was just flat 10, now 10. 12.5, 15 at 1, 7, 13. Resonating strike range has been increased to 1200 from 1100. Dragon's rage base damage 150, 300, 450. Now 150, 375, 600. I do know that they nerfed Dragon's rage damage back in Season 7, so they're giving that love back now with these new runes, whatever.
God damn it.
Why are they increasing the range on Q? That makes no sense.
To put some of the consistency of his playmaking potential back into his kit.
Give him Tracker's Knife back.
I don't think they're ready for that. Tracker's Knife, only purchasable by Lee Sin.
Yeah.
It's like his passive item like Victor.
That's not a bad idea.
All right, Lucian changes in this patch. Ardent Blaze base damage has been increased to 60 to 220, now 85 to 245. Culling ratio per shot been increased to 0.25. Max ratio has been increased from 4 to 6, now 5 to 7.5 total attack damage. So a little Ardent Blaze base damage is pretty significant for your 1 to 6.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, 25.
Yeah, you're not putting points in the W until you have to, right? Because you're doing Q and E. But
yeah, so 25 across the board is a big deal.
And I know culling, you weren't using culling unless you had to, or you could line it up really well. Like it was never in your rotation. But adding extra damage to that does make him a little scarier. However, I still don't see him dominating anything out of solo queue because none of the items really favor him right now. He's the sustain and everything out of bottom lane, and his range kind of keeps him away from that.
So I guess the only thing I can think of is that he is an AD carry that has a lot of wave clear in his kit, and most of the other AD carries were relying on static shiv, which got nerfed this patch.
Right. And
so maybe from that standpoint, Lucian ends up coming out a little bit more ahead. But that's a pretty convoluted way of looking at things, even as I was saying it aloud. So I don't know that that's really enough to fix it. But it might be that him just having having more wave clear actually does put him in a better position because it's going to be harder for his contemporaries, except Sivir.
I mean, it's a pretty big buff to his R if you're actually hitting it, which I never do when I play Lucian. But
right, and the thing, you can. It's easy for people to dodge out of that, and yes, Lucian can move, and so there's some player error also to account for, but it also can just be body blocked so heavily.
Yeah, Lucian.
Well, you'll clear a wave faster, which is basically what you use it the first time. I feel like just alt the wave so you can back.
Same with Ezreal's ult. True
Yeah,
Shepherd. There we go. I almost said Mystic Shot. I'm like, no, True Shepherd.
I see Lucian as one of those champions right now that's like Misfortune, who's not really that good, but they dominate specific elos or specific style of gameplay, and so that they're good out of that. So I can see Lucian suddenly being a little better for those players that are able to dominate laning phase and turn that into something. But until we see more gold coming back into the pockets, and 8-7, there's a change going to be coming in where you're getting more gold in your pockets to help you solo carry, and some item changes. Lucian it's just completely off my radar as a marksman. I wish that's how champions to do what he's trying to do better.
I hope this change just gets him close to that kind of neutral win rate and everything, because he's a cool champion and he's a fun champion to play. I don't mind seeing a lot of Lucian, except that it has historically meant that he was really, 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 really strong. And then he gets nerfed and he stays popular for a really long time, and so that's fine. But it sucks when he is the winningest AD carry in the game and he's also picked like 33% of the time or something like that. And that's been a lot of his success in the past. I just wish they could like get him to a nice neutral level.
Right.
Like Jhin is there. Jin's there and everything. Jhin is really effective in the right hands and everything. You can't just pick him and win and everything. But picking Jhin doesn't mean the game is over for the enemy team just because they got that champion. And that's kind of been Lucian's problem in the past.
I don't think these changes get there, but I do agree with you. I mean, not that you're saying they are, but I agree with what you're trying to say, that it would be nice to see him in that good, even spot where he can win when he needs to. Quinn is getting some changes as well in this patch, and base stats. Her base attack damage has been decreased. It was 62. It is now 59. Attack damage growth has been changed to compensate for that. It was 2.4, now 3. Other changes is passive Harrier. Attacks no longer trigger vulnerable marks that appear on their target while they're in flight.
No. Attacks now trigger vulnerable marks.
Yeah. I read that and went, wait, that doesn't sound right. Yes, they now trigger vulnerable marks that appear on the target while they're in flight, which is awesome because
that's huge. That's a huge buff to Quinn.
Yes, this is very huge. It is very annoying to have the mark appear on somebody and you're about to E onto them to get the mark on them, so you essentially lost some damage because the mark decided to randomly target the champion.
It also sucks to see the mark appear over them and everything, as you're winding up your auto attack, but because you are winding up that auto attack, you didn't get the proc, and now you will. That's really what it's fixing, and that was a very, very common case for Quinn.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's why they're hitting her base attack damage, because she's so strong in the early game that now having that more reliability out of Harrier means that we have to tone this down.
Yeah, top lane Quinn. She's gonna be scary. Behind enemy lines, the R. Skystrike now applies vulnerable mark to all enemy champions hit, that's
huge.
Awesome.
Oh my god.
A good one. Taking damage while channeling no longer breaks the channel. Taking damage from non-minions while flying removes behind enemy line bonus movement speed for 3 seconds. It does no longer end it. So you can stay in behind enemy lines by being hit by minions, which is awesome as well. Really awesome, because how many times do you try to fly down a lane or something and get targeted by the minions because something weird fucking happened. Taking damage from minions while flying no longer slows Valor. Automatically cast behind enemy lines when returning to the summoning platform.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh,
there's a lot of quality of life stuff.
I thought they added that a long time ago.
No. People have wanted them to add that a long time ago.
It was on Spawn. It was on Respawn that they added it.
Right.
It
no longer goes on a 3-second cooldown when in combat, which is phenomenal as well. Because doesn't that mean you can kill somebody and then jump right back into behind enemy lines and keep flying around the map?
Yeah, I mean, it's got a 2-second cast time, so...
Skystrike. Okay, so there's a bunch of bug fixes. Skystrike no longer fails to cast if it was cast within the last 10 seconds. Skystrike no longer deals double damage when cast by reactivating R. Behind enemy lines no longer ends immediately when used near a turret that Quinn had been attacking. Canceling behind enemy lines while presence of mind is active no longer refunds mana that was never consumed. Behind enemy lines no longer removes existing movement orders or ignores new movement orders given during its cast and channel.
Sweet.
So if you want to take anything from all this, Quinn top just got a whole fucking lot better.
Yeah, they made Quinn a lot better just by adding a bunch of quality of life things. And, you know, a couple buffs. Let's not ignore the vulnerable mark to all Sky Strike targets. And
I mean,
the passive change.
I don't know. It's a small sample size. She's actually not like crushing top or anything from a win rate standpoint. I had it and I lost it.
I don't know if it's going to give her a huge...
She is now the winningest AD carry, though. And I was wondering if she got a lot better out of bot lane just by having the consistency from her damage, because that was kind of what was ultimately screwing her, is that like you would start this engage, because she's going to work great with like Leona or Alistar Blitzcrank, that type of stuff. And so you would start this engage and think, okay, we got Quinn, we're going to have great damage coming in, but then you wouldn't get the Harrier procs that you were expecting, and so you would lose her burst, you would lose the the bonus attack speed she's supposed to get to for the extended trades and everything, and it just was frustrating. So I kind of wonder if she's going to be a lot better bot lane now.
Yep. I think yes, absolutely. And solo queue should be phenomenal, and I do think in patch 8.7 she'll be even better than that, because she'll get a lot more fucking gold in her pocket instead of giving it to her team, and she'll be able to carry even harder with it. Now, something else that is alarming, I know it's only 437,000 matches that have been analyzed on patch 8.6 because it's only out in a few regions.
Only.
I mean, all things considered, gold last 7 days was 29 million.
Yeah, no, I understand. Just a big number.
Yeah, but Kai'Sa so Quinn has a 0.2% pick rate over that. Kai'Sa has a 9% pick rate. Kai'Sa is at 53% nearly, or 52.5% win rate. So, like we said, I'm scared of those changes to that game. Kai'Sa is going to be real fucking scary.
And it's funny. It's like all of the early game AD carries have suddenly skyrocketed.
Wait. Are we calling Kai'Sa an early game AD carry?
Well, I guess she might be
Do
now.
No, I don't know.
She might be now.
That's true. Nobody knows the Kai'Sa.
She might be now. But like Twitch is at the bottom. I guess Caitlyn's an early game AD carry. She's sitting at the bottom. But Tristana, Vayne, Callista, they're all sitting at the bottom.
Good.
Well, they all built
That's a new meta, boys.
Shiv, right?
Yeah, they did.
But again, I got small sample size alert. Let's not really... Yeah, they're all the Shiv users, so...
All right. Rakan changes Q, Gleaming Quill, 0.6 ability power ratio now from 0.5. Grand Entrance, 0.7 ability power from 0.5. Battle Dance, range, his E up to 700. Bonus at range towards Xayah down to 300. Dom, you got a really good point about this.
The big change here is the change to E. When I saw that they were doing this, first I jumped out of my seat, did a little dance, realized I was at work, and sat back down. But then started looking into the range of like Lee Sin's Ward Hop, Katarina's Shunpo, Jax's Leap Strike, and all that. And I learned that all of those abilities also had 700 range. I think Cat's might be 750. And then I checked Brahm's stand behind me, and his was 650. And so all of the comparable abilities where you're able to jump to an ally had longer range than Rakan's Battle Dance. That made some sense because you can cast Battle Dance twice. But ultimately, I feel like that made it a really difficult thing for Rakan's teammates to read, because they would hover in what they thought was the correct range, because all of the other abilities that they're used to doing the same effect was that 700 range and everything, and they needed you to be Rakan needed you to be a little bit closer. That's no longer the case. So from like a sort of interaction or usability standpoint, this is a huge buff. It also doesn't change anything with Xayah, because he got 100 bonus range to the base. They cut it by 100 towards Xayah and everything, so that just keeps it at 1,000 like it always was. It was easy enough to walk away and think, okay, well, it's not nearly as punishing to not have Xayah on your team and everything, but like this is why the change happened. Everything, it's just going to feel a lot better, and be a lot easier for your teammates to read. The AP ratio stuff I don't think is that big of a deal. Rakan has really good AP ratios, but he doesn't deal enough. I mean, like he's got to be so in the middle of the fight with pretty long cooldowns for as far as his damage is concerned and everything, and he's just never going to have the AP to do a damage heavy build, that he doesn't really get, like, he doesn't really build a lot of AP. It's more about being really disruptive and getting the clutch shields on people. And And so, yeah, it's nice to be dealing a little bit of extra damage, but you're not suddenly gonna it's the AP ratio, so you're not suddenly gonna start maxing Q because Q, the heal on Q leveled with rank. I know there are a few players out there who do it, but by and large, everybody's maxing E or W, and this doesn't really change anything there.
That's funny because I was looking up Rakan builds one night. I think I was playing normals, and all the pro builds I looked up were all maxing Q. And they were all starting whatever the fucking Frost Queens thing is.
Yeah, I start Frost Queens and everything, but Frost Queens and Ardent Center are usually about the only 2 ability power items he gets.
But you're right. The highest percent win one is an Emax. So
it's just hard to do stuff with him if E is on cooldown, and so that's why or E or W when they're on cooldown. Like the damage on Q is nice, but it only hits one target. It's not like Karma's Q where if it hits a minion, you can still get the splash damage or something. It only hits one target. There's no crowd control effect really, so it's just the damage to the one target, and that doesn't feel especially great.
And the range isn't that big. I know they buffed the range, but it's still not.
Yeah, it still sucks.
And the healing doesn't go up either.
What was that?
Go ahead.
The healing doesn't go up on his Q either.
I'm
just looking at the wiki.
It still scales with level.
That is bizarre.
Yeah, so that's why I kind of feel like it's just his 1 point wonder. And yeah, like you said, some pros are doing it, and there are a few players out there going that route, but by and large, it's E or W, and that sort of depends on player preference. Do you want to do more engaging, or do you want to have that knock-up available more frequently than you're maxing W? Do you prefer sort of hopping around and saving allies, and then striking with W when at the opportune moment? Then you're probably maxing E.
And I feel like if you're in a winning lane, you max W. If you're in a tough lane, you probably max E.
Yeah, and that is the nice part about Rakan is it kind of you can adjust your skill ups based on the matchup. Like if you're in just a crushing lane and everything, there probably isn't anything wrong with maxing Q because you might be able to just shove them out with that. But you can really adjust your rank ups. But I don't think these AP ratios are a big deal. But the E thing is very, very nice.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about Shirelia's Reverie, because it is back in this patch. New item for you guys to purchase out there. Shirelia's Reverie costs 2,100 gold, builds out of Aether Wisp, Kindle Gem, and 450 gold. Gives you 40 ability power, 200 health, 10% cooldown reduction, 8% movement speed, and now grants user and nearby allies 40% movement speed for 3 seconds when you use the item. I'm really excited for this item. I think that Kennen, Vladimir, and other AP health heavy champions, Singed, etc., are going to rush this item.
For supports.
No, they're going to rush this item because it's better
Could you
than
give
Proto
the
Belt.
supports one day to build this item before you just go hog wild on the AP casters?
The AP casters are going to love this item.
I just don't think a lot of Annie
Annie's
would
gonna
like
love
this.
it.
Rakan will really like this. Rakan, in my opinion, misses Talisman more than anybody else, and health, cooldown reduction, and ability power and movement speed. But those are all good things for him. His shield scales with ability power, so in some respects, that's like getting health. And hey, he just got some AP ratio buffs. It's also nice and cheap. The thing I hate about Righteous Glory is that the combined cost is just absurd. It's 1,100 gold. That is painful on a support. So this will be nice for Rakan. I hate it for other champs that I love to get Talisman on, namely Alistar. I don't want any ability power on him. That doesn't help me in any meaningful way. So I do agree with Adam that there are probably going to be a lot more mages that are super into this item.
Yeah, they're going to definitely.
I don't think so. I think anyone who would buy this is going to get Proto Belt instead.
That is
the
question.
That they will 100% buy this before Proto Belt because it's cheaper to buy, and you're not losing. You're losing. I think it's like 150, 200 health.
Yeah, but you're also losing the revolver active for early on in lane.
That's the whole point of it being cheaper, right? It depends when you're getting force back, of course, and it depends how long you sit in lane and all that kind of stuff. I know there's a lot of things, but I do think that people are going to end up rushing Reverie over Proto Belt because Vlad doesn't need the revolver active. Vlad wants an extra 8% movement speed, 10% cooldown reduction, and a ghost every minute.
It's not a ghost every minute. That's not right.
It's a 40%.
I think he'll still go. But it's only for 3 seconds.
Only. You say only. It's still. Come on, that's all you need. fucking Proto Belt just Proto Belt is not even 3 seconds. Proto Belt goes, you go ahead.
Yeah, but you also add the burst damage to your combo, which is what people like Kennen and Vladimir are gonna want. I mean, we can wait and see how it plays out. I think they still would go Proto Belt. If they want a health AP item, I think it will be Proto Belt.
Any
in my opinion.
Or support any players were really excited about this, and I get why. I sort of think that the heyday of Annie was because her range was so absurdly good, combined with the amount of burst that she was bringing, and they like nerfed her range over time, and that's kind of what brought her into line or drove her down into the really lower ranks. So while it's nice for her to have a go button for her team, again, support Annie could still just get the Proto Belt, and then hey, she's got a blink bear instead of a steroid bear.
Isn't Annie getting Predator boots also already? I feel like she is. Maybe, but
let
me look it up.
No,
yeah,
I think she's going Unsealed Spellbook.
Maybe I think she goes that. She might go both, but I feel like with Unsealed being nerfed, because Predator, you have so much time to make a play, and you can just run up to people.
I think you're going Unsealed still. Maybe that.
No, I mean, it's probably. I mean, this is definitely going to be really good for Annie, but it looks like Comet and Electrocute are the most popular for her, followed by.
Neither of us are right.
Followed by Predator.
Electrocute's all right. I really liked the what is it, magic hat? What the fuck is it called?
Ultimate hat.
Ultimate hat on her, because my ultimate was up every 30 seconds. I'd use it, and by the time my bear was dead, I'd have my ultimate back up again. It was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, the domination tree actually seems to make a ton of sense, because cheap shot, or sudden impact, whichever you like, and
does Proto Belt proc sudden impact?
Yeah, Proto Belt would.
Okay, then you could. Yeah, okay. So yeah, you go. There you go. You go sudden impact Proto Belt. You can't get this new fancy item.
No,
otherwise, like, hey, deal true damage because you landed your stun. Like there's.
No, you want that. You want that extra armor pen for sure.
I'm looking through Anybots games just to see the runes, and like there's an Electrocute, a couple of Electrocute games, and then he's actually playing with Predator a lot.
Yeah, Predator's the third most common
game.
Like you can Predator and then just run all the way. I think Predator basically gives you 3 summoner spells because it's essentially Ghost on a shorter cooldown.
You got options as Annie.
That's right. Let's talk about Abyssal Mask. The aura radius edge to edge was 700. Now center to edge, it says edge on mine. It's now 325. Magic damage amplifier up to 15%. These changes only apply to Orin's Masterwork upgrade Infernal Mask. Wait.
Also.
Also. Why did I say only?
You've had a couple of mysteries that like fundamentally altered the meaning of the sentence.
So the range before was rather large, 700 radius. That's pretty big. 325. It's you have to be basically at melee range in order to get this bonus now. It's a pretty big hit to Abyssal Mask.
Yeah, I feel
But everyone is buying that item.
Yeah, tanks aren't going to be buying this to help their AP casters anymore. They're going to be buying it. They won't buy it. They'll go with something else that gives them MR and CDR.
Are people like Rise or Cass going to be buying this item anymore, or even Vagar?
Cass.
I think Swain, Cass, and Rise could probably still go just because it's actually buffing how much you're getting the damage, and you're going to be in their face anyway.
Okay.
I feel like Swain or not Swain. I feel like Rise might not be because he's that medium range type.
Yeah,
it
depends.
He gets up close, but he's that medium range. I feel like he will lose more damage than he gains.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen. I mean, 325 is a short range.
Yeah.
So
Swain, I really can't say because
Swain, I think you probably still can do it because you're going to be in the middle of everyone and you're going to be hitting them with your ult. So I think it'd still be good. I have to see kind of what the range of the abilities are in comparison to the aura to see if it will actually still be good. 325 might just be too close to make sense on like anyone.
Except Kassadin.
Yeah, Kassadin, melee assassin, kind of AP assassin. Maybe Diana. I don't know.
Well, I suppose support could start looking at this item to help the mages out.
No, they wouldn't, because you have to be so Well, I
no,
guess
like
maybe
a tank or
Oh,
like,
yeah,
like
yeah.
Alistar or something. You know, like I don't give a shit about my damage and everything. But if I'm bumping your damage up by 15% and I'm already in
It's
the
got a
fight,
hefty combined cost, though.
yeah, I know, and I hate that. But
Well, let's move on and talk about Seraph's Embrace. It's getting a nerf because it's too powerful. It's providing too much safety. Shield ratio down to 15% current mana. Shield duration down to 2 seconds from 3 seconds. Just kind of this needed to happen. And
Yeah, it's
I hate
Seraph's
that shield.
I still think it's probably the best of the three, maybe. We'll have to
is.
see how it plays out. That's still going to be a big shield, and you don't really need it for 3 seconds. You're mostly using it to block, like, one big burst of whatever.
yeah, it's more
So-
like, hey, you can't just throw this up. Like you can't be bad with the item and still get the benefits.
Yeah. Which I think it needed to be nerfed. It was way too strong.
Right. I have to apologize to the listeners going forward for the rest of the next 5 minutes. I can't go over 30 minutes talking about the rest of the show because my wife is waiting to leave to go to the store to get some kids some medicine. So let's finish these items and we'll jump back in. We'll just kind of quickly talk about the rune and we'll come back on Monday and really discuss it, the new rune and what we think about it. I think that'll be a good way to go about that because we'll get through most of these items hopefully in the next five minutes or so. Dead Man's Plate getting a change in this patch. The proc damage type is now magical rather than physical. I don't know why I said the CAL on the end.
Magical.
Users no longer lose stacks while slowed. Now consumes all momentum on basic attacks even at less than max stacks, dealing 1 damage from momentum consumed. However, there is a lockout period when your basic attacking now locks out momentum generation until your attack timer resets. And the slow only triggers at max stacks. And I think Marine was really pissed off about this item getting changed.
I think I'm with him. The more I think about this, the more I think I'm in his camp on this.
Wait, but you can proc it
consistently.
You can proc it over and over because it partially procs now.
You can
proc
yeah, but you don't get the slow.
Right, you have to be at 100 stacks to get the slow now.
Yeah, but are you realistically going to get 2 slows off in a fight anyway?
I think this is how it used to be. And it wasn't very good when it was like this.
Yeah, I never crunched the numbers or even looked at the numbers in this one. I don't really build Dead Man's Plate or see Dead Man's Plate built that often unless you're like really ahead. So I can't say that I see a ton of people building this item. Or I know the item is popular, but it's not popular.
Yeah. They changed it in 7.9 to deal only deal the bonus damage when it was at full stacks.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't it? It was previously being abused though, wasn't it? At one point, but it was just it was.
Oh, I'm sure it was being abused at some point, but it was. Part of that was because it was cheaper than like Randuin's and Sunfire Cape, and all the other items right in that line that were giving both health and armor. It was just cheaper, and so it was being bought all the time. So then they bumped up the price and they reduced the health. That's why it was being abused. Just from a stat standpoint, it was better. But the benefit of it was like functionally worse because you were only ever getting that one application of the big damage burst and the slow. And then for champions like Garen and Darius and a lot of those other like juggernaut type bruisers, like they were never getting more than one application of that and everything. And that slow is really valuable. And now they're going back to that.
Guinsoos Rageblade getting a change, and I would say this is one of those that you should go out and play with Guinsoos and play Master Yi like right now until they nerf the shit out of it because this item seems to be pretty goddamn broken. Total cost has been decreased to 3,000 gold from 3,600 gold. It is now an Amplifying Tome, Recurve Bow, and a Pickaxe plus 690 gold. The attack damage and ability power have been decreased to 25 each. Magic damage on hit has been changed to 5 plus 0.1 ability power. Physical damage on hit is now 5 plus 0.1 bonus attack damage. So you're doing 10 mixed damage every hit plus a ratio. Ability power.
I mean, just for buying the item, you're doing the same amount of damage.
Right. Yeah, you are. Physical damage, ability power per stack is now 4% of your ability power. Attack speed per stack is now 8% of your total attack speed. Attack damage per stack is now 4% bonus attack damage. And at half stacks, melee champion's next basic attack fully stacks Rageblade. This item is broken on anybody who wants attack speed.
Well, they wanted to make it so that, non-range champions can use it. And they did it.
I didn't know it was that much cheaper. That is like astronomically cheaper.
It's cheaper and
it
probably
seems like
better overall. Yeah.
It does. It scales way harder. It's better overall, and it's a phenomenal first rush item for anybody that's doing some kind
The
of
total attack speed, the ratios to the on-hit damage.
Trindamere probably buys this just for the fact that his Q is getting a ton of ability power. Like,
And E, spinning slash.
yeah, right. That's
Why not?
stupid shit like that.
Now I remember them talking about this item and how it was being a pain in the ass because it was giving AD champions that bought this item the AP adaptive bonuses from their runes, just because this would give them more ability power early. So that was something they wanted to address with this, is to lower the ability power and the magic damage a little bit, so that it doesn't screw up your rune adaptive bonuses.
Yeah, it seems really good.
Hextech GLP 800 being changed. They just feel the item's still too weak. It's now 2,800 gold to buy it. Combined cost is now 650 gold. Item still probably sucks. Just doesn't
It's nice that it's cheaper.
Right. Static Shiv no longer deals bonus damage to minions, and the proc damage has been decreased just a little bit. But yeah, it no longer clears waves as significantly as well as it was previously. So all those champions that you mentioned before, Dom, I don't know, 5-10 minutes ago, the Tristanas, etc. That's why they're fucking dropping, because a lot of those champions were rushing Static Shiv to clear waves.
Whereas Draven is going to love the rapid fire change here. So
yeah, so no more. Yeah, good riddance to fucking that Static Shiv shit. Rapid fire proc damage has been increased. It was 50 to 120, now 60 to 140.
So now everyone's just gonna buy a rapid fire cannon again instead of Static Shiv.
Or they buy.
It just seems like it goes
first. They'll buy rapid fire cannon first and then Static Shiv, because the reason you're buying Static Shiv is because they crit. The Static Shiv proc could crit.
It can still crit,
and it could clear waves, right?
But if you're getting one, aren't you always picking rapid fire cannon?
You're always getting the other. Yeah, if you're picking one, you're probably picking rapid fire first.
It just seems like these two items bounce back and forth as far as which one's the better one.
Doesn't one of
them?
them?
Rapid fire cannon's turn.
Does one of them make it stack up faster? Or am I misremembering?
I think
that was an old mastery, or no? No, you're right. Yeah, I think rapid fire cannon does that.
So in a lot of cases, you were getting both. You were getting Shiv first, and then you were getting fire cannon, so that you had Shiv more frequently, is what it really came to. And previously Warlord's Bloodlust, but I don't think actually does Fleetfoot work deck with Energized?
Yeah, no, it does. I think it does. I think
how fast it stacks up. I mean, I guess it might.
I think it counts as an Energize.
Yep, it counts as Energized. So you're getting Fleet Footwork, and so great. Now people are going to be getting Rapid Fire Cannon first, and Fleet Footwork's always going to be fucking up again.
Yeah, they won't get it early though. They won't rush it. It's still going to be a second item rush now.
Or
whatever it is. But
do you maybe now go boots, sit on Zeal, finish IE, then finish your Zeal item?
You go boots, get it. You go boots, go IE, then get a Zeal. Or you said get a Zeal, then IE. So you're doing BF Zeal boots.
I would think you normally would go get a BF, hopefully first back, then maybe get the boots. Just get the Zeal, depending on what your goal is. Finish IE, then finish Zeal.
I wonder if you get the Shard first.
No.
You don't get the move. I mean, you don't get the crit, but you get the same amount of attack speed, and you get the 50 bonus on hit magic damage.
I think the extra crit.
I just think
everything.
I think just having like the 40% crit when you have your IE would be better.
Yeah. When it comes down to having IE, absolutely Zeal is better. I don't know. I just think it shifts. It shifts the good marksman away now that they can't clear with Static Shiv as easily, as we're kind of seeing with only 400,000 games being played, to more aggressive style marksman. So like Jhin suddenly gets way better, and obviously Kaisa because she's over fucking tuned. Potentially, I guess that does potentially bring Lucian back up into play. It might be the time to shine.
But how long before they all start just going Phantom Dancer again and everything? Just fuck Fire Cannon, get the extra 15% attack speed and the bonus, the reduced damage coming at you.
The problem with the problem with Phantom Dancer is you're kind of wasting some gold through the. I know it's a gold efficient to buy, but you're still kind of wasting some gold through the fact that the passive doesn't work on the person. The person that you're targeting isn't likely the person attacking you, so you're not getting the damage reduction.
Yeah, but you get 7% bonus move speed just in general, and can walk through minions, when you're within a visible enemy champion, basically, within 550 units, but that's plenty.
Mm-hmm. Or I can just have a range increase in rapid fire cannon and poke people out.
Yeah.
With an energized attack. All right, I'm gonna talk about the
Oh
summoner
my god,
spells.
Oh my god,
What?
Phantom Dance. Oh, never mind. Never mind. I thought Fire Cannon was more expensive, but no, they're all the same.
I want to quickly talk about the 2 summoner spells, and then Conqueror and all that kind of stuff we'll talk about on Monday. So Ignite damage has been increased from 70 to 410 is now 80 to 505. And
Yes.
they are nerfing heal. It was 240 second cooldown, is now 270 second cooldown, which opens up bot lane a bit too. And I know it's getting move speed and a heal, or and a heal for your partner. I kind of wonder if barrier starts to edge its way back in.
Screw the support.
30
Full
seconds.
barrier. Support fends for themselves.
With the
Double barrier bot lane.
100-second faster cooldown, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
barrier's
is.
180.
I mean that's substantial.
I'm gonna miss.
You could have that up for every gank.
Yeah, I feel like barrier will come back into mid lane because it's mostly just heal.
Right.
Yeah,
or
like,
TP.
and they're complaining about teleport and heal being the problem and everything, but hey, they didn't touch teleport, so
Didn't they nerf teleport like significantly at the end of last year or sometime last year?
It was
and
beginning of
everybody's
last
still
year,
taking
so-
it.
Longer cooldown, longer channel time kind of thing.
and no longer gave you half it back when you canceled it and stuff like that. Yeah. One thing to note, since you guys be playing this week and listening to this, is Conqueror is a new rune in the in the precision tree. After 4 seconds in combat, your first attack against an enemy champion grants you 10 to 35 attack damage based on level for 3 seconds and converts 20% of your damage to champions to true damage. Damaging enemy champions refreshes this buff. So seeing that the Conqueror rune
For melee only. For melee only.
Sorry, for melee only. So don't be surprised if you start seeing a whole lot more Fioras and other fighters coming out of the top lane. Come this.
But we'll
next
talk
time.
about that once we've played
We'll
with it.
see.
Yeah. But I want everyone to be aware out that there is a new precision keystone for you guys to choose, and it could be really, really good. People are really excited about it, but unfortunately, I have to cut it there because I have to let my wife run off to the store and get some medicine for a child, and I will be back around for everything else, guys. That's patch 8.6. We'll be back on Monday to have more discussion about it and, follow up from the fallout of this patch to see where Kaisa and everybody else actually lands. Thank you so much for listening, watching, supporting us. Patreon.com/Teamforce Network. We will see you Monday with the next episode, guys. Have a good evening. Peace.
Later.
Later,
Dogs.
dogs.